So I recently tweeted about this, but I decided that I wanted to make a little bit longer of a video about it, talking about it, and venting my frustrations with it, because man, is it frustrating. So the tweet was, have you ever noticed that nothing can just be like a 6 or 7 out of 10 anymore? Like, people can't just say, hey, this wasn't my speed, and move on. Like, anytime that they come across a piece of media that they don't particularly like, it has to be some kind of personal attack on them or a certain group of people. Like, there's just no in between anymore. I feel like the only two scores that even matter is like, if something is actually good, it's a 10, and if something is actually bad, it's a 1. This franchise is dead. This video is it's a little bit about Star Wars. But that's what gets me going, because see, like, I like Star Wars, and I've grown up with Star Wars, and I still enjoy Star Wars. It's like one of the two cultural things that just kind of like always has a subroutine rolling around in my mind. It's like that and Pokemon. I am like, at any given time, always thinking about either Star Wars or Pokemon. And I wonder why, because like no one's shut up about them since 1999. But like, it's something I've definitely noticed with the Star Wars shows and stuff coming out, so that's going to be my big example. Like, none of the shows are able to be just okay. Like, The Mandalorian Season 1 and 2, great. Andor, literally just saying it makes me ready for sex. And then, like, Book of Boba Fett made my penis shrivel up and drop off. Like, there's no in between. And I swear to God, this is how people talk about these shows. And, like, I don't know. To me, the shows are just... they exist. Can they not just exist? Like, people talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi as one of the bad ones, and it's like, it wasn't that bad, though. Like, there were some stupid things about it. There were some poor pacing decisions, but, like, it was fine. It didn't, like, ruin shit for me. Like, Obi-Wan didn't start, like, pulling down his pants and mooning Darth Vader and, like, kidnap children. Although, I mean, I guess he kidnapped children in, like, the good way, because he kidnapped them from kidnappers. What am I talking about? But, like, nothing can be just, like, oh, it was alright. Okay, they did some things that I didn't like, and they did some other things that, maybe I did like a little bit. But, like, nah, man, one of the tweets I saw about The Acolyte was like, I am done with Star Wars. I think I hate everything about this series. It is anti-entertainment. Now look, before reading that tweet, I did watch both of the released episodes of The Acolyte. And you know what? It's alright. It's alright. Like, they didn't fucking, like, sit down. Like, they weren't like, all right, let's get in a spaceship and go to Space Walmart and piss on the sheets. Like, that to me is a 0 out of 10. You totally did not understand the assignment. And even that wouldn't be a 0 out of 10, because that would be mildly entertaining. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, wait, hang on a second. Why could someone believe that The Acolyte is the franchise killer for Star Wars? Mind you, the franchise has died in the eyes of these people like 5 times. I have a little secret for those people. It's gonna die a couple more times before this is all over. Like, it's gonna keep dying. It's just gonna have this, like, Rasputinian death, because, like, they're gonna keep making it. Because that's just what's gonna like, I don't understand what the point of even complaining is sometimes. Like, I get it, you're passionate about the thing that you like, and hey, look, I don't think the Disney Star Wars is remotely perfect. They do make a lot of mistakes. They do a lot of things with these series that are, I'm not going to say anti-Star Wars, but like they're not very Star Wars-y. Like that sounds like a completely different thing. We had that. It was called Visions, and it was a really wild episode of Star Wars media. But like, I don't know. It's so frustrating to me that people can't be like, I didn't particularly care for it. Fire in Space is just too much for me. 0 out of 10. It's like, that's not true. Like, I'm sorry. If you're like, hey, look, wow, a black woman is starring in this, 0 out of 10. Fire in Space, 0 out of 10. Like, you're really not helping that narrative in that case, that when people are like, oh yeah, Star Wars fans about to be misogynist and racist, it's like, all right, well, here we go. Like, a lot of the time, it's like, dude, I rarely see people actually complain about, like, the things, you know, like, that people call other people racist for, or whatever. But, like, with The Acolyte, I have seen it, I guess because I've actually tweeted about this one, and have seen it, and, like, some of the previous shows I haven't watched yet. But, like, really? You make dumb excuses like, oh, there's fire in space, and it's like, that's not a reason to hate a show, man. It's just not. Like, even when the fire in space happened, I was like, I don't think that's supposed to happen in space, but you know what? I got the fuck over it. It's entertainment. We're gonna move on from it. Like, literally, it was just there to fill a few seconds of time. Like, could they have come up with something better? Like, yeah, they could have, but I don't know, they didn't. You're not the one making the film. Why are you complaining about it? I don't know. It's just like, it just seems so disingenuous to me to watch something like The Acolyte, or basically any of the Star Wars shows, and be like, man, Star Wars is dead. Like, to me, the franchise came closest to dying with The Rise of Skywalker, because that movie was just, it was like the antithesis of everything Star Wars. It was rushed. It wasn't thought out. There was no plan behind it. They hired a director who had to clean up the perceived mess of the person before him, and try to go back to the plot that he had canoned when he made the movie before that one. And it's like, you're never going to get a good film out of that. Like, that's never going to work. Okay? Like, to me, that was the closest the franchise became to becoming just like this corporate mess of a thing. And I think that, like, recent shows have also had their problems, but, like, Star Wars isn't going to be dead. Like, did you see what they were doing in the early 2000s? Have you heard of the Yuuzhan Vong? And I'm not saying that the Yuuzhan Vong were a bad idea. They were certainly something different for Star Wars and clearly left an impact because we are still talking about them. But, like, those designs were very much not Star Wars. Those designs were like, if you stuck one of those in the middle of, like, a crowd of Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings, I sound like such a fucking nerd right now. Oh, hey, I am one. If you stuck them in a horde of Uruk-hai, they would have blended right in. No one, not even Sauron, would have questioned it. My God, I'm such a fucking nerd. I'm just figuring this out about myself. But yeah, you know, it's just like, Star Wars has always been kind of 7 out of 10 on most things. Like, if you were actually to compile a list of every piece of media with Star Wars in the title, and you, like, averaged out, and you, like, averaged out everything, I'm pretty sure it would be, oh, I don't know, average. Because there's so much Star Wars media that's, like, really good, and then there's some that's just kind of alright, and then there's just some kind that's kind of bad. Like, I mean, look at the breadth of quality in, like, Star Wars video games, right? Like, you know, you've got, like, the Knights of the Old Republic and Battlefront 2, the original version. That was actually good. You know, you've got some of these, like, really memorable Star Wars experiences, and then you've got, like, fucking Super Bombad Racing and Masters of Teräs Käsi or whatever. And it's like, yeah. Like, dude, Star Wars has always been a media franchise that has run the gamut from, like, 1 to 10 to whatever. Like, What even is a 1 to 10? I've been thinking about this too. Like, let's get back to the general thing and away from Star Wars for a second here, because that's actually what I was going to. I just, like, it's very easy for me to rant about Star Wars. But, like, think about the out of 10 scale. It's like, what is the point of a 2, 3, or 4 out of a 10? Like, what are you giving kudos for in that case? I was thinking about this, and it's like, it's funny because, like, I think of things today as, like, it's either a 1 out of 10 or it's a 9 or 10 out of 10. I think 9 still exists. I think 9 still exists because people, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me go back to 2, 3, 4. Like, what are a 2, 3, 4 out of 10? It's like, oh yeah, I liked this one song. Like, is that a 2 out of 10? Like, oh, I liked one thing about it. It's like 10. It's like this out of 10, like what I liked about it or what I thought worked about. Like, it's such a weird metric when you think about it. And like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like out of 5 actually works a lot better because like a 2 out of 5 is like, yes, I liked some things about it, but overall I thought it like, you know what? If I were to rate things, I might rate things out of 5 or maybe 6 just to be weird. But like, I don't know. It is kind of interesting because we never really did use like the out of 10 scale accurately. And then people start adding decimal points and it becomes really asinine. And it's just like, dude, what's a 4.5? Like in the comments below, give me an example of something that you think is a 4 or 5 out of 10. Like 5 out of 10. Think about it. Like what piece of media gets things half right? It's like the sound design was terrible. And the editing was bad, but the shot composition and writing was pretty good. Like, is that a 5? Like, I don't know. It's really weird. Like, when you start to think about how we rate things, things get a little weird. But we have more options than just, like, 1 out of 10, this franchise is dead, and 10 out of 10, this franchise is a heavenly thing from above and has been made perfectly. It's just like, dude, why do we do this? Why do we do this? And it's probably because these people that say these things are influencers, influencers or YouTubers or whatever. And like, we love the outrage. The outrage gets clicks and views and like, hell yes. We love the headlines. We love the clickbait. We love the sensationalism of it. The person that did the, I hate everything about Star Wars now, tweet, that person is a YouTuber and is a popular YouTuber, and I did not realize that they had like these fans that like were like just are like so dedicated to this person's opinions that I saw so many opinions, so many tweets under someone who, Jesus Christ, there's so much terminology these days that like makes it so muddled. I feel like I have to go slow. So the way I saw this guy's tweet was that it was screenshotted and it was screenshotted and included in someone else's tweet, saying, wow, look at how ridiculous this is. But like the people, the fans of the guy in the tweet found the other tweet. God, could you imagine if I was using the actual term? The guy in the post found the other guy's post, right? The guy in the fans of the guy in the tweet like found the tweet criticizing the guy in the tweet. Jesus Christ, we're gonna get through this, I promise. And we're like defending him in the comments, and I was like, he's not right though, and everyone's like, he's right though, and I'm like, he's not. Like categorically, the franchise is not dead. And the franchise is not going to be dead because they're going to keep making more. Like, it's such sensationalism. It's like, because there is so much Star Wars media, it's like people don't have anything left to say about it other than repeating that the franchise is stupid and dead. And it's like, what? Like, it really is becoming a matter of like, all right, well, y'all are outing yourselves as not particularly motivated by entertainment, but by socio-political statements. And hey, look, that goes both ways. Because, like, remember when I said that there's, like, a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10, and then there's just, like, a 0 and a 1 out of 10? Well, like, the 9 out of 10 is, like, this thing is good, but it doesn't really follow through on its socio-political message. And 10 out of 10 is, like, it said the exact things I wanted it to say about society. It showed the exact things I wanted it to show and starred the people I wanted it to star, and I completely agree with the message that it had. And that's the only way a thing is a 10 out of 10. It doesn't really matter if, like, everything in the show is beautifully crafted. Like, the sound design, the music, the costumes, the set design, the editing, the effect. Like, if everything on those is top-notch, perfect, it's still a 9 out of 10 if it doesn't say anything, right? If it doesn't have a message, then how can it possibly be a 10 out of 10? Piece of entertainment if I didn't learn anything, or if I didn't, like, convince people to love the insert group of people here, right? Like, that's the only way something can be a 10 out of 10, is if, like, I agree with it sociopolitically, right? And something is a 1 or 0 out of 10 if there is even a hint of something that I don't like, not only in the show but in its production. And I think that's kind of the crux of the issue with The Acolyte, because people see the cast and are like, 0 out of 10, it's woke. And I'm like, are you stupid? Let me just like remind everyone on the internet. I don't know who's gonna see this video. I hope not a lot of people, because I can just hear the comments about all the weird shit in the background. Like, dude's got a fucking 2005. Where is it? We're doing this again. There. Nope, that's the right one. Put the fingers up. Dude's got a Green Day poster in the background. Like, his opinion is invalid. But, like, let me just remind you of something. It's just entertainment, guys. It's lit. Like, we live in an age where there is such, like, a glut of entertainment, where you could choose literally anything else to go watch or play or read or perceive or enjoy. Like, there is so much media that you could not view all of the television shows and movies, and certainly not play all the games in your lifetime. You can go find something that you like better. You can stop talking about this. You can move on. You just sound so stupid when you're like, I hate everything about this franchise now. It's like, yeah, but you're still watching. And you're still watching because it makes you money. And that's the only reason why you're still watching. It makes you money, and it makes your echo chamber dudes come in and be like, hey man, I feel the same way. This sucks now. And it's like, at some point, it was gonna suck. A lot of people went through that with the prequels. And those people have come to accept that maybe they haven't, but, like, those people have kind of come to accept that sometimes things that you like sucks. I have really just, like, I've never really given a shit. Like, I loved the prequels, and I still do. Even after a very long discussion with my friend about whether or not they were good movies, I still came out of that thinking, I still like them, though. Like, it's such a weird thing to be like, hey, here's all these things wrong, and it's like, I still like them. Like, it's weird. It's weird, and it makes you think about it, and then you like, and you go, and it's like, With the sequel trilogy, there are parts of it where I'm like, I don't know. Everybody says that this is bad, but I still kind of like this, though. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, look, was it a absolutely corporate decision to cast Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen in roles that I grew up with? Did that draw me in? Did that make me watch that show, even though I wouldn't end up watching Andor or Ahsoka or, like, the rest of season 3 of The Mandalorian? Yeah, I did watch that because Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi was in it. Did I enjoy it because of that? Yeah, I sure did. Like, I don't know. It's like, there were stupid parts about it. There were some silly things about it. There were some poor pacing issues, but like overall, I enjoyed it. And I'm glad that it exists because it means we got to see Ewan McGregor back in the saddle one more time. That's a bonus to me. Like, that's a bonus. Some of these things are nostalgia cash grabs, and I realize that. But you know what? It's 2 hours of my life that I enjoy. Like, everyone's all like, oh, don't base things on nostalgia. That's not real. That's not, like, that doesn't mean something is really good. And I'm like, it doesn't matter if something is good. It just matters if you enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, then you don't have to watch it. There is literally no one like forcing you into a chair and being like, hey, watch this thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so silly. And if you are vaguely intrigued by the next Star Wars thing coming out, and you watch it, I can't imagine sitting down, right, and watching a Star Wars thing and being like, this is a complete 2 out of 10. And look, I've seen the Book of Boba Fett, all right? There were parts of the Book of Boba Fett that I enjoyed. Do I feel like the Book of Boba Fett insulted me? Do I feel like it ruined my life? No. I was like, I did not enjoy that as much as some of the other Star Wars properties that I have enjoyed. I'm going to move on with my life now and not really, like, let it affect my enjoyment of anything. It's just like, I don't know. It's so silly. I get it. There's this big sensationalism thing that has gone on, and you know, that's why we're doing this. We're all trying to make political statements now with the entertainment and the review of entertainment. And it's like, I get that. And yes, I'm actually very tired of that in a lot of ways. But I also feel like, dude, it's entertainment. I can move on. Something is allowed to be a 7 or 8 out of 10. Hey, I enjoyed parts of this. I did not enjoy other parts of this. Because it's like, I don't know, things are made for people. Like, things are made by people, right? And those people are not going to have the same, like, priorities as you in making the thing. You know, there are some things, like the fire in space in the Acolyte, where I'm like, you probably could have thought about that for 5 more minutes and realized the same thing that thousands of people who watched this show did in an instant of seeing a fire in space. Granted, it has happened in Star Wars before. But, like, I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much. It just doesn't. And I wish that I could gift that to other people. And I really wish that I could gift my dad's mindset to other people, because my dad has loved everything Star Wars. Like, seriously, my dad was old enough to see the original in theaters, right? And he was, like, not a kid. He was, like, 21, I think. He was 21 when the original Star Wars came out. And he loved it. And he loved The Empire Strikes Back. And he loved Return of the Jedi. And fast forward, 20 years. No, less than 20 years. It's so weird to think how close the prequels and the originals actually are. Fast forward like 15 years. He loved The Phantom Menace. He was like, this is the best one yet. Attack of the Clones came out. This is the best one yet. Revenge of the Sith came out. This is the best one yet. Very much enjoyed The Force Awakens. Enjoyed The Last Jedi. Was so thankful he got to see the end of the story in Rise of Skywalker. And this is how he still talks about the franchise. And he has very much enjoyed pretty much every show that has come out. He's talked about how good they are. I think the only one that he was like, I didn't like that one so much, was the Book of Boba Fett. So that's when you know something is kind of like mid. Like the Book of Boba Fett is legit mid because my dad legit thought it was mid, right? But he's He's loved Obi-Wan and The Mandalorian. He actually really loved Ahsoka. I think he said Ahsoka was his favorite of the Star Wars shows. My dad has not seen Clone Wars or Rebels, which is just hilarious. Like, I love my dad. He is like, good that this video is coming out close to Father's Day, but like, especially when it comes to Star Wars, it's like, I am so glad to have someone in my life that loves this thing that I love, right? And like, just unequivocally, just has no idea what's going on the internet, doesn't care about the socio-political overtones about anything. Like, he just does not even notice. I mean, he may have noticed with Andor, but like, I didn't watch that one with him, and I haven't watched it yet, so I'm sure he did. But like, I mean, I just might, if I could give everyone the mindset that my dad did, first of all, no one would have jobs on YouTube because they never get any views. Probably like this video won't, but like, I just like, dude, just enjoy things or move on. It's entertainment. It's not like they're poisoning the food supply. Disney probably is, let's face it. The people are out there to make the world, but like in the short term, in the like goggle glasses, what am I looking at? Tunnel vision, right? It just doesn't matter. Just move on. Stop being fucking weird, okay? Stop being a drama queen. Like, that's how I feel when people say these things. Like, on both sides of the argument. It's like, oh boy, the acolyte is helmed by a black woman. Time for the racists to show up. And it's like, they do. They do. And they're sad. But I think you're also sad. Like, dude, the acolyte is coming out. And it looks like a pretty neat Star Wars murder mystery. And that's what it is. Do I expect it to change my life? No. No, I'm 30-some years old, and I've seen a lot of things. So I don't really expect it to change my life. But I'm happy to watch it. And I'm glad that I have so far. And I'm enjoying it. I did not waste 2 hours, watching the first couple episodes. It's whatever, man. Like, just fucking chill and move on, dude. Like, seriously. Anyways, in the comments below, tell me your favorite 7 out of 10 piece of media and why. And please promise me that if you see something you don't like, you can be like, hey, I didn't like it, and then you can move on with your life, because I think it's just better that way. Have a great day. What even was this?